Parker, it feels like just yesterday we were jumping around these very studios, waving our shirts over our heads during that magical Wolves playoff run. But unfortunately, there's no more pregame parties or howling with the homies, but the Fro and the Fox are back on 9 to noon today.
Man, it's exciting, man. It feels like we were a part of that team, dude.
It does, doesn't it?
We're kind of worn. Like, everybody's talking about how Anthony Edwards was, like, fatigued and tired. And it's like, dude, we got worn out and fatigued and tired too, man. I feel like, give us a little credit here.
I know. I felt like that meme where it's the Popeyes worker just hunched over. And it's just like, we were putting in a lot of work, man. And the grind doesn't stop for you because you just go from the radio grind right back to the basketball grind. What is your day-to-day like preparing for the upcoming Gophers basketball season?
Yeah, so we started practice back up, which is crazy. I was actually on the golf course talking to somebody about this. It was like, we ended like 2 months ago, so it's been a little bit of time, but then, the Wolves made their run, and like I said, it felt like we were kind of a part of that team. So
right.
It was like, we were there for every game. We were there pre and post game. Yeah, we weren't out on the court or anything like that, but like, I feel like we were putting in enough effort where we feel like we were still working. But
those hootie hoos take a lot out of the vocals.
Man, do they? But no, man, it's like, and it starts back up. So for those that don't know, when it comes to, Division I basketball, we're rocking and rolling all summer long. So we just started up last week. We go 8 weeks. We go 5 days a week. And we're up early and we're up and at it. So, this morning I was, up around 6:30. Yeah, man, we're up and rolling. So we're up early. People that know my story, I got the bad knees. So I got to get in there early. I got to get the body moving before we start. And then, we had a lift this morning. We hit a little bit of everything, a little full body lift, hitting the bench, hitting the abs, hitting the rows, all that kind of stuff. So, we had great energy up in the weight room this morning. A bunch of new guys, man. We really filled out a new roster, had a bunch of guys leave. So, we're super excited about the guys we brought in. We brought a bunch of awesome personalities, a bunch of energy. And today in the weight room, we really showed it. We actually got a new strength coach as well. So, kind of a different flow of how we're doing things around here. But the energy is great. The environment's great. And we're really excited about where this program's going.
Man, 6 a.m. workouts, dog.
Yeah, man. And
I woke up this morning. I had some Frosted Flakes and some French toast sticks. That's the only thing I was benching was French toast sticks. The only thing I was rowing was the French toast sticks and the syrup. I booted up the old incognito window. For those that know, they know. You know what I'm saying? So I walked from the bus stop into 1600 Utica Avenue. I didn't do nothing, and you did all that, and then come in here and just rock out on the radio, man. You really are a superstar.
Man, no, I'm blessed to be here, man. This is exciting. This is something that I wanted to prioritize this summer is hanging out with you, learning from you, and no, it's a blessing, man. But yeah, they come early, bro, and once you do them every day for 8 weeks, it kind of just becomes a natural deal. It's like Chris Hockey's here every morning,
right.
Getting his vocal cords warmed up. I'm just doing a couple other things. It's still a muscle, right? Like,
yeah,
we just use a different muscle.
Exactly,
here.
Right. And speaking of vocals, PA is out on vocal maintenance. If you're wondering why the Fox and the Fro are broadcasting on 9 to noon today, we'll be hanging out with you until 12 p.m. when we puff pass it over to Common and 10 to B. Parker, you mentioned it, that you guys got a bunch of new guys on the team this year. We actually had a texter, Derek from St. Paul, that texted in, and he wanted to ask you what you think of the new additions to the Gophers team. Like, who do you think is going to be a breakout player for you guys this season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we brought back a solid returning core. You have a guy that's going to be maybe preseason Big Ten Player of the Year, in my opinion, in Dawson Garcia. Just an all-around talent. A local guy, loyal to the program, loyal to the M. Is excited to wear the M on his chest, excited to wear Minnesota across his chest. So he's a guy that we're obviously excited to have back. And then also with Mike Mitchell coming back, our best shooter from last year, can spray it from anywhere, stretches the floor at a really high level, can handle it, can pass it, can do a little bit of everything. So he's a guy we're excited to have back. And then, yeah, we brought in a bunch of transfers, and one of the names that people are going to know is Frank Mitchell. He's a big man out of Toronto. He's got the thick Toronto accent. He's like, hey, fam, oh yeah, fam, smoke that youth, fam.
Crody.
He was ripping the Crodies yesterday. So no, he's an awesome personality. He's a big man down low that's going to be really good for us. We brought in another big man from Trey Edmonds, who's going to be awesome for us. We got a guy in the wing, and Femi Adoke is going to be awesome for us. Brennan Rigsby, Lukai Patterson. We brought in a lot of talent that's really just going to help our depth. I was talking to our coaching staff yesterday, and we were kind of just highlighting our biggest thing is going to be our depth, just the availability of, going down the roster to from 1 through 10 or whatever that may be, and being able to put guys in that, have played a lot of college basketball. We got a lot of grad transfers. We got a lot of older guys. It's always a blessing to have guys that have played before, that know how to play, because there's such a jump from high school to college that people don't understand. It just takes time. It can't be rushed. It can't be forced. If you can get a guy that's like the one and done freshman, you see them, right? But they're the next level guys. We got a lot of guys that have, done this, have played really high level college basketball. So we're excited to bring them in, man. We're excited to get this thing rolling. It's only week 1, and I still got some energy left here in me. We're halfway through week 1. So we're pumping and we're rolling, man.
It's a workout probably just remembering all the new names of all your teammates, man. You just listed off it seems like 10 dudes. That's crazy.
It is, man. It is. But it's awesome because, this is the new college basketball landscape. There's a lot of transferring, a lot of grad transferring. We still have that. This is the last year of that COVID year. So guys are still using that year. So it's difficult, but also when you spend so much time around each other, like we said, we're in there at 7 a.m. We're there from 7 to, 8:30 lifting, and then we go straight to the cafeteria and we're eating together. And then, guys probably go home and either nap or get their schoolwork done in the summer. And then we're right back at it this afternoon on the court. And then, we're hanging out in the training room together. All the guys live in the same apartment building, except for me. I'm off the apartment building now, being the old head. But, we spend so much time together, man, that it just starts to become a true brothership, which is the really unique thing about college athletics.
No, and that's got to be super cool, man. That's got to be one of the things that you for sure will miss, I'm sure, when it's gone.
Oh, yeah.
And there's been much ado about the transfer portal and all the transfer madness in college sports in general. As someone that's on the inside, how does the transfer portal work? Is it teams and schools trying to lure you in? Is it you kind of just sending your resume out there like LinkedIn? Is our coaches just sending you pictures of Mercedes-Benz and tables full of straight cash, homie? How does the transfer portal work, and what made you stay with the Gophers?
Yeah, it's basically free agency. So we're all free agents every year. You have the ability to leave, you have the ability to, go elsewhere. But, it's kind of like LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn's a good way to describe it. It's just basically if your name's out there, and if you're not with the company or you're not with the team, you're hoping to be recruited. It's like ZipRecruiter or one of those websites. I don't know those too familiarly yet. Hopefully I don't ever have to go on one of them. But no, it's basically like a free agency. It's an open market. Anybody can, go in it, but then you risk the chance of, not getting picked up. But for myself, just being a Minnesota kid, man, just being a local dude, having success here, having the fan support, having the connections like this to come on and hang out with you has been, otherworldly. I'm extremely blessed, and I think it's just a testament to this state how much we care about each other, and like we saw during that Wolves run, it was just the energy we felt, especially when we were winning in the Target Center. But the energy in general was just electric. The fans coming up to you and hootie hooing, the fans coming up and taking pictures with us, Minnesota is a special place, especially when you're from here. But even if you're not from here and you come to visit, it's just you realize quickly how amazing this place is, and we're pretty lucky, Max. We're pretty freaking lucky.
Yeah, we really are, and we just have so many different, from college sports to professional to even the minor leagues and stuff like that. We have so many awesome teams around these parts, and we're very happy to have you back. The fan connection. You know about as many people. It's like walking through the Target Center with you is like walking through the Target Center with Tom Cruise or something, man. You're dapping everybody up. You probably got to keep a lot of hand sanitizer on deck. But yeah, the fan connection with the Gophers is real, man. I can't wait for the basketball season to start. Do we know the schedule yet? When's the first game? None of that's been released yet?
Yeah, no official date yet, but for people that don't know, the Big Ten expanded. We added Washington, we added Oregon, we added UCLA, and we added USC.
I was just about to ask about that. How do you feel about that? As a fan and as a player?
Oh, it's sweet, man. I think, I always, when people ask me questions about my team and about the Big Ten, I always come at it with a fan's approach first, because I was a fan first before I became a member. So as a fan, I'm thinking this is great. Like, expand the league, whatever sport. If it's, football, we're adding Washington and Oregon and USC, who are elite, football teams. And then for basketball, we're adding UCLA, which is a historic basketball program. So I think it's great for the league. It's great for, TV and money rights. And obviously, this $7 billion TV market when it comes to college basketball and college sports. It's a huge deal. So I think that's exciting. And then, as a player, I get to go to Southern California.
I was just about to say, that ain't half bad.
Like,
right.
that signed me up for that. So, hopefully it's like a Thursday, Saturday. So we play Thursday night and then Friday night's off. And we get to chill and hang out in SoCal. And I'll swallow a couple of my words when it comes to that.
For sure.
We'll see where it takes me.
We'll hit the dump button out of this so nobody remembers that you said any of this.
I'm sure there'll be dorm checks and there'll be hallway checks to make sure.
Do they do that when you guys are on the road? They make sure you guys are not going out and partying and doing dumb stuff.
Yeah. We have an awesome managerial staff. Our managers travel with us, and they make sure everything is taken care of. Whether that's snacks, food, whether our shoes are there, our jerseys are there, our practice loops are there. Everything is. They do such an awesome job, and truly when you get down to if you want to be a winning team and you want to be a part of a winning culture, it's your focus and you're locked in. You're not worried about where you are. You're worried about going to that arena and taking care of business. But I'm just.
Why are you winking? Why are you crossing your fingers right now?
I got my fingers and toes crossed in here. Oh man, but I'm an outdoors guy, so wherever we're at, I'm always just walking around, going and seeing some sights in the cities we're in. I think it's fun, and then maybe going to different shops. I think LA will have some pretty cool shops down there. That'll be a good experience to step up the drip a little bit, and see if we can get some swag going on. But no, I think it's fun. It's always good to add new teams in the league, and it's exciting to see where this league's going to go. Obviously, we're adding teams and leagues are dropping and they're falling out. So we're going to see what happens with leagues, and the Big Ten is as strong and as powerful as it's ever been. I think there's no debate. It's the best conference in the country, so it's going to be fun to see how it grows.
Yeah, I cannot wait for the basketball season to start. Even the college football season, just to see how this Big Ten expansion goes. I can't wait to see it. And we're happy to have you back. You're talking about learning from me. I'm learning a lot from you too, man. You're an elite basketball mom. Just sitting next to you during the game, like, what the hell was that? Like, what is that? And you can just break it down right away, man. You got a really bright future in this business. I know you got to jet out of here soon, but you got some time to talk NBA Finals?
Yeah, come on.
Oh, you're right. I mean, that's what we do, baby.
We're living for,
that's
man.
what the Fro and the Fox do, baby. From the college game to the pro game, we will break down the NBA Finals coming up next around the corner. And then we got Alexis Pearson, the voice of the PWHL women's hockey team. She's going to talk to us about Stanley Cup, the PWHL, and much, much more. This is Maxx Fuller and Parker Fox filling in for PA. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after that. I know what you're thinking. It's a little late for an April Fool's joke, but this is no game. The Fox and the Fro are coming at you live on 9 to noon. We're going to be talking NBA Finals here in just a second because I got to get my man Parker Fox's elite takes on what's going on with the Mavericks and the Celtics. But first, Parker, I got to ask you, yesterday, one of the biggest news story of the day yesterday was New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell proclaimed June 12th as Back That Ass Up Day in honor of the 25th anniversary of the hit song by Juvenile, Manny Fresh, and Lil Wayne. First of all, your thoughts on the song Back That Ass Up. And second of all, what is a song that is so iconic in your mind that it should have its own holiday?
I mean, phenomenal song. We can't argue anything about that.
I mean, yeah, it's one of the greatest songs in American recorded history.
I think anybody in a club any male in a club would be excited when that
for
song
sure. That's when you sprint to the dance floor. Right?
Well, where we at? We're at the shot bar. Let's get up to the dance floor.
Right. All of a sudden, the knee isn't hurting so bad anymore when that song comes on. Right?
Great, no doubt about it. But no, that's a good one. What is our song, man? It's got to be something Prince. It's got to be something, maybe Purple Rain. I
guess Purple. If there's not a Purple Rain day or a Prince day, it should be, right?
We got to have some sort of Prince Purple Rain, day going on. I mean, I feel like we do. Maybe we're just not smart enough to know that. People are listening. They're like, oh, there's definitely a Prince Purple Rain day. Come on, what are you guys talking about? But no, a phenomenal song. Obviously, I hadn't heard of that song in a while now, but now it's stuck in my head, and I'm going to hear it for the next next 3 days and play it over my head. Girl, you look good.
It's never left anybody's rotation. Like it's been in constant. It's just constantly been spinning since it came out 25 years ago. Hard to believe that Juvenile dropped that classic back in the day. But on to the NBA Finals. Game 3 is tonight, set to tip off around 7:30 down Dallas way. I'm not sure anybody on the Mavericks aside from Luka Doncic knows, but the NBA Finals are underway, and unfortunately for everybody outside of the greater Massachusetts area, the Boston Celtics are just 2 wins away from their first NBA championship since the KG, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen days. Parker, I thought that I was over it. I didn't think I'd be bothered as much as I am watching these NBA Finals games. Seeing the way that the Mavericks are playing, I just can't help but think, damn, man, the Wolves would be playing so much better. I just think the Wolves match up with the Celtics so much better, and it's really just driving me crazy. I'm pulling my hair out. I got a lot of hair, and I'm almost bald at this point. I'm about to look like meat sauce in hockey. It's so hard to watch these Mavericks play because these are not the same Mavericks that came to the Target Center and were talking smack to all the fans.
No, you're right. I tweeted after, before game 1, I said, gosh, I wish the Wolves were playing tonight, man.
So bad.
It's just like, I feel it every time. It's almost like hard for me to turn it on, but as a basketball fan, like I gotta have it on. I gotta watch, because it's my life,
right.
And I love it. But no, you're right. And I don't know if this Dallas team is just, fatigued out or what it was, but I think the biggest thing that I've seen Boston do is just attack Luka Doncic. Like, like you mentioned, he's been a complete, obviously he's, dropping a triple-double and he's, doing his thing offensively and power to him. But he's been a complete liability on defense. And I saw a tweet that said, I hope Chris Finch is watching what the Celtics are doing here. But that tweet's right, man. It's like what they're doing to Luka and how, the Celtics are making him guard and in spaces and, just making him a absolute defensive liability. There's a hilarious clip on the internet of somebody just absolutely just ridiculously going at Luka for his defense. Like, oh, blow by here, blow by there, reach here. Like, it's bad. It's very poor. And yeah, he's probably playing through a little injury, but at the same time, this is the highest level of competition when it comes to basketball. And then we're watching one of the best players in the world be absolutely abysmal on the defensive end, and it's quite embarrassing from a basketball just viewing standpoint.
He really wants no smoke on the defense whatsoever. Like as soon as someone even puts a little bit of velocity into their step, he's just like, oh, okay, you're going right past me. And then if someone's wide open, I'll try to fake close out on the 3. But it's pretty crazy to see. And there's nowhere for him to hide. There's nowhere for Kyrie to hide because that Boston team is just stacked 1 through 5, but they might be suffering here tonight because it's looking doubtful that Kristaps Porzingis will play after he suffered. I'm going to try this.
Yeah.
A torn medial retinaculum, allowing the dislocation of the posterior tibialis. I mean, that sounds like Twista lyrics right there. Like I don't even know what that means, but it sounds like it's a really super rare injury. But Kristaps Porzingis, he just reminds me of the guy from SpongeBob that's like, my bones are made of glass and my whole body, I broke every bone in my body. Like, how does he keep getting hurt? It's just, it's blowing my mind, but that's a huge blow for the Celtics if Porzingis can't go tonight, right?
It is. And I hate to be the nerd guy here, but I can actually explain it for I can explain it for some people. So
Dr. Fox.
Dr. Fox is here. So you got your ankle bone, right? You got the inner part of your ankle. Mm-hmm. So the medial part, there's that little flat part right above the heel.
Yeah.
Basically, there's a sheet that lays flat, and there's tendons underneath that sheet. So what he did is he ripped that sheet in his foot. So it's something that's going to require surgery to put back together. But it's not an ender. Like it's not immediate. He doesn't have to have surgery tomorrow. Basically, what it does is there are those tendons there. They're not laying flat anymore, and they can be dislocated, and they can really be painful and tug on his foot. So it's going to be something that Boston's going to have to kind of monitor. If he can go, they're going to have him go because you need 2 more wins. You need everything you got to go win a championship. But if he can't go, it is what it is, and he'll have to go, get surgery. But it's a super rare, weird injury that we don't see very much in sports. But it's kind of interesting to hear that actually happen. But man, was he good? Holy moly, was he a dominant
He looked like
factor.
Wilt Chamberlain in the first quarter of that first game, man. He could not miss. He was blocking shots left and right. I mean, the alley-oops have completely gone by the wayside. The Mavericks were looking like the new Lob City for the first 3 rounds of the playoffs. I don't know if I've even seen them maybe they've had one or two, but the alley-oops are completely gone because Kristaps Porzingis is just shutting down that paint and shutting down the rim.
Yeah, it's been a different beast interiorly. You know, I got a buddy who's a big Celtics fan, and he said, we'll take care of Dallas for you. And I told him, well, I don't know. If you have Porzingis healthy, you will. But if you don't have Porzingis healthy, I don't know, because Al Horford's not going to cut it vertically, you know, defending the rim with those lobs. But when you have a guy like Porzingis, who's, I think he's got like a 7'6" or a 7'7" wingspan, something crazy like that. So like, regardless, he's 7'2" as it is or whatever it may be, but he's just got ultra length out there, and we just saw him deflecting passes. We saw, Josh Green go try to dunk on him, and he just, swatted it, and it was nobody's problem. So just the interior defense when he's in there completely changes what the Celtics, what they can do. Obviously, they have awesome bodies they can throw at Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. They have, a Drew Holiday who's a all-worldly defender. They have a Jaylen Brown who's, a great defender in his own right. Jason Tatum's a big body, although he hasn't been playing great. And then Derek White, he's another really great defender. So you can throw all these guards at him, and then if that doesn't work, you got the second line and Kristaps Porzingis right behind you. So this Boston team is deep, man. And I remember early in the Wolves season when we beat them, and I was like, okay, like this Boston team is really good, but look at us, man. Look at us here too. So, that's a team that I thought the whole way was going to be really special. And, now they're up 2-0 and they're showing us how special they really are.
Yeah, and then they've lost 2 games or something like that throughout the entire playoffs. It's just been an incredible run for them, albeit it was the easiest path to the NBA Finals in NBA history. But still, that's what you do when you're a good team. You got to take advantage of other teams when they're down with injuries or when they're playing bad. You got to take advantage of it. But that's just having Porzingis out there, his shooting is just. It changes the whole defensive scheme for the Dallas Mavericks, because you can't have a guy like Lively or Gafford just hanging out in the paint waiting for the Celtics to crash the paint. You have to send him out there because you can't leave any of those guys open. And Dallas, I mean, they've missed on a lot of these rotations, and they're leaving the Celtics players wide the bleep open. It's been really incredible to see. But speaking of the Dallas big men, Daniel Gafford, it felt like something they realized late in that game, in game 2, he was starting to take it to Jason Tatum a little bit there, banging him out in the paint. Is that something that was just kind of like a couple possession thing, or do you think they have something there and that's something that they could look for? Because Luka's getting no help from anybody else. They need a guy like Gafford or PJ Washington to step up. Like, do you think they have something with that Gafford Tatum thing?
Well, you're right. They're searching. They're trying to figure out what's going to work. And I think if you're Dallas, you realize, Dallas was a 2.5-point favorite tonight, and so Vegas is giving them some hope. But if you're Dallas, you're realizing what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go maybe a little bigger. I don't know if that is a Gafford and Lively in there together, but we did see a lot of good stuff from Lively and from Gafford had 13 points and 9 rebounds in that last game, 6 and 9 from the floor. So we saw something there with him that could be something that they really look at. Although Lively didn't score the ball well at all in that last game, but I kind of look to something to maybe go big. I know it's something Dallas hasn't done a whole lot, but they got to switch something up. Obviously, we didn't see a great game from Kyrie, which hurts them. Anytime you have 16 points on 18 shots, it's not what you're looking for as a player.
And hasn't made a 3 throughout the entire series.
No, he's struggled, and it's not Kyrie like. When we've seen Kyrie in the finals, we've seen a very version of Kyrie. He's a killer. You're right. So I don't know what it is for Dallas. Boston just has so many threats where if you go big and then now you have to defend Boston, you have to defend the guard. So, who's guarding a Derek White? Who's guarding a Jason? You don't want Derek Lively out there guarding a Jason Tatum. That's barbecue chicken. So it's like, you got to figure out what you think is going to work, and you're going to have to switch some things around. So I'm excited to watch tonight and see the changes that Dallas has. Like we mentioned, in our pre and post game, we saw a Dallas team that really matched up well with us. And now we're seeing a Dallas team that doesn't match up great with Boston. No. So, I don't think this is a sweep situation. I think we're going to see a pretty damn good version of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving tonight. But, it's looking bleak. It's looking bleak for Dallas fans. But, that can all change with the win tonight. So, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully, just as from a fan's point of view, nobody wants to see a sweep. You want to see this become. You want to see this become.
Basketball.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we want to see more competition. We don't want to see. It was nice to see the Mavericks kind of hang in game 2 outside of that, because that game 1 was a blow. It was over after the first quarter. Yeah. But just from a fan's point of view, you want to to see a more even series. And Boston's been doing this well without Jason Tatum playing.
Yeah.
He's been pretty unimpressive on the offensive end scoring-wise, but he's finding other ways to impact the game. He's pulling down a lot of rebounds. He's making the right pass almost every single time. But it's got to be a little depressing as a Mavericks fan that you're down 2-0 and Jason Tatum has been pretty awful from the floor.
Yeah, you're right. And it's funny because we get this view on Twitter where it's like, oh, Jason Tatum has been brutal. I mean, guys, he had 18, 9, and 12 last game.
Yeah, so it's almost like a triple-double.
Yeah,
right.
he's hooping still.
Right,
but,
it's just we have a high standard because it's Jason Tatum.
You're right. He took 22 shots and only scored 18 points, which is bad. 6 of 22 from the floor is very poor, so I'm not going to hide that. 1 of 7 from 3 is poor. But, this is a team that you could clearly tell that Dallas wanted to focus their defensive attention on Jason Tatum. Now, can other people step up? Jaylen Brown last night, or 2 nights ago, 21, 4, and 7. Drew Holiday was spectacular, 26, 11, and 3. Derek White, awesome again, 18, 5, and 2. So this is a team that's stepping up, and they're realizing that, hey, we're going to get this thing done. It doesn't matter if our star Jason Tatum isn't producing at the highest level. We're gonna get this thing done as a team, and this Boston team is loaded, man. You go down their roster, like I don't think people realize how talented Peyton Pritchard is. He's only playing about 12 minutes a game. Yeah. He's a guy that's like the most uber talented kind of guy. And then you got a guy Sam Hauser who's just a next level shooter, can stretch the floor. 2 white boys off the bench there. We love to see that. We love to see
boy summer.
We love to see the white boys out there. But no, this Boston team is deep, and they're going to be deep for a while. They especially if you start winning a couple championships, you rattle one off. Al Horford might get his first one this year. I bet he retires after that one.
Yeah, for sure, right off in the sunset.
No doubt. So no, this Boston team is deep. Dallas is going to have to find ways to make them work, and then. Secondly, Dallas is going to have to find ways to hide Luka Doncic defensively because Boston is completely exposing it, and it looks bad. It's ugly. It looks bad. I think it's going to be tough for Dallas to figure out how to hide Luka because Boston's going to go at him.
Right, because Boston's so deep, and it's been such a varied attack from the Celtics. It's every time you look at the end of the game box score, it's like 5 or 6 dudes that are in double digits, and that's why it's kind of hard to tell if the Celtics do end up pulling this thing out. Who is going to be Finals MVP? I mean, right now is it Drew Holiday?
It's looking like Drew Holiday. Obviously, it's 2 games in and it's early, but Drew's. I think that's not even like it's. We think it's surprising as like if just a normal person's like it's not Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. Like
that's why they went out and got him.
Exactly.
That's what they were missing.
If you ask anybody in the NBA, anybody that's watched the NBA for a while, like you're not surprised that Drew Holiday is producing. He's one of the best two-way. You could even say the best two-way players in the NBA when it comes to just his level of defense. I love my guy Anthony Edwards, but he's still got a ways to go here. But
right. Just look what Drew Holiday's doing against Kyrie compared to.
Yes.
We have some of the best defenders in the league, but look what Kyrie did to guys like Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards compared to. He's been brutal against Drew Holiday and Derek White.
And Drew Holiday has done it for years too, man.
Yeah.
We've seen an awesome Drew Holiday, and now he's on the offensive end. He's kind of that guy where. They're matching up to Jaylen Brown. They're matching up to Jason Tatum. So who's going to step up next? And we've seen Drew Holiday and just his professional approach to it. I think there's a video of him after game 2 and the cameras were on him and everybody's all excited. He goes, job's not finished. It's just 2. Job's not finished. So you can tell he's a great veteran leader in that locker room, telling the guys to stay focused. But I don't know, man. I just think I don't want to say sweep or anything, but this Boston team is loaded. They're locked in, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with Porzingis. I think that's going to be a huge factor. But I look to Dallas to hopefully compete tonight. But this Boston team is really good.
They're really freaking good. I'm not going to lie. I totally underestimated them. I did think that I obviously knew that they were a really good team, but they kind of just frolicked through the Eastern Conference to get to the finals, and they've impressed me thus far. They've been incredible. Just a whole varied team attack. The defense has been incredible. And man, they can shoot the hell out of the 3-ball. Holy hell. I think they made the most threes in the league. They shot the most threes in the league, and they had one of the highest 3-point percentages. But hopefully we can see a competitive game tonight. Game 3 is going down in Dallas tonight. Tip-off around 7:30. Looking forward to that. Parker, I know you got to head out of here soon. I appreciate you reigniting the Fro and the Fox for the first half of 9 to noon. What you got going on the rest of the day?
Man, we're back at it, man. I love coming in here. I wish I could hang out all day, but I got a team to play for. Right? So I got to get back to campus here. We got workouts this afternoon. We'll have some different workouts groups, and then we'll get together as a team. We'll eat dinner, and then it's getting to bed early and doing it all again tomorrow. So, but I'm excited to spend most of my free time in here in the fan with you guys. It's always a blessing to be around you guys. So appreciate you having me today, and looking forward to being in your ear the rest of the summer.
For sure, man. The Fro and the Fox will rise again. But for now, that is all. But we leave an elite basketball mind for an elite hockey mind. Alexis Pearson is calling in around the corner to talk Stanley Cup Final and PWHL. We'll be right back on 9 to noon. This is Max Fuller filling in for PA right after. Welcome back to 9 to noon. Max Fuller here, a.k.a. Connor Max David, a.k.a. Sergey Frobrovsky, alongside my main man, Zacho Halverson, filling in for PA somehow, some way. We have not been pulled from the airwaves just yet, so we're here rocking with you until noon when we puff pass the mic on over to Common and Atena B. The Stanley Cup Final is underway. And for those that don't know, the Stanley Cup Final is not a competition amongst suburban women to determine who has the best water bottle. It is, in fact, the championship series in the NHL. And while I have been declared the heir to the hockey ambassador, Dan Barrero, I barely even know what the blue line is. So that's why I got my man Zacho in here. And that's also why I enlisted one of the most brilliant hockey minds I've had the pleasure of being around. We are lucky enough that we also get to hear some of that brilliance on the PWHL games, because she is the Vox of the newest championship team in town. Of course, I'm referring to none other than Alexis Pearson. And Alexis, of course, we got to talk PWHL. We got to talk Stanley Cup Final. But have you seen the news about the Wild are officially switching to the North Stars colors starting in the 2025-2026 season as a part of a rebrand? What are your thoughts on the Wild going back to the OG North Stars colors?
Well, first of all, you crush the intros every time. I'm honored to be here, honored to chat with you guys. I didn't know Halvey was going to be here, too, today. What a treat, 2 for 1. I get Max and Halvey. But, yeah, this is awesome. I love the retro colors. I know a lot of other people love them. A lot of fans have been asking for this. I think they're really cool. I think they're really slick. And stats show the Wild play better in those jerseys, so I'm on board.
Yeah, I think I remember throughout the season, this last season, having the wonderful opportunity of basically attending every single home game to work with the wonderful Joe and Tom and Kevin and Alexis and the best radio network crew in the NHL for sure. But you go to one game and you'd have those reverse retros and they looked great, and the North Stars colors were great. They were unique. And then the next game, we go back to normal, and those jerseys I'm still a big fan of. I love the forest green and the kind of the what do you call it, the stripe across the center. I think they're awesome. I really do like those jerseys, but compared to that old North Stars color scheme, which again I don't know if it's replicated at all in the NHL or really anywhere other than, I mean, you could maybe say it's a kind of close to Green Bay, but not really. It's a different shade of both colors. I think this is going to be a good step forward for an organization that, hard to believe now, is going to be celebrating 25 years next season.
Dang.
So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I mean, you said Alexis too. I mean, they were better in it, and I think they looked better in it too.
Yeah, and I mean, the only problem I have, and maybe I'm raining on everyone's parade with this, but are they going to lose their luster seeing them more often? Because that was half the fun was,
True.
Okay, hey, they're wearing the cool jerseys today. They're going to look slick. They're going to play well. Now that they're doing it all the time, are we going to lose a little bit of that excitement? I don't know. And
the question, too, is people are asking, and should be noted, I mean, this isn't technically official, but it's really good sourcing, high-level sourcing. Aesthetics is the guy who reported it, and he's really good. So it's pretty much a done deal, but not obviously official. But what I'm looking forward to in the official announcement, which could come anytime in the next year plus, is the logo. How do you handle that? Because it is, in my opinion, one of the better logos out there.
For sure.
It's very well done, but how do you reconcile with the colors of it? Do you keep it like it is? And I guess I'm fine with that, but a little weird to see like the trees and the river and the sky being the North Star colors, where it made far more sense for the forest green to represent the trees and beyond. So I'm interested to see what they do from a logo perspective too. If they use this opportunity, we see it all the time. I think we're seeing it with the Ducks, and we're seeing it now with the Kings as well. The new logos are popping up all over the place. So
the phrase that was used was rebranding. So it sounds like a new logo could be on the horizon as well.
Which would be interesting. Indeed.
I didn't think of that either, Halvey. That's a really good point. Now I don't know if I'm fully on board, because I do love the logo. And there is a lot of fans who don't love our logo and the name, honestly. I'm not one of those people. I like the name. I like the logo. Maybe it's just because we're used to it, right? But that's a really good point. Does that change? Because in the jerseys now, the reverse retros, obviously they use the North Star colors in the Wild logo. So do they go that route? Do they go the regular colors there? Those colors don't mix, right? Like red, yellow, and the North Star green. That doesn't really go together. So, yeah, right. I don't know what they're going to do there.
Speaking of names, Alexis, while we're on the subject, where do you stand on the future Utah team name? A lot of people like Yeti. Some people even like Utah Hockey Club. It seems pretty divided on what people want the name to. Where do you stand on the potential future NHL franchise in Utah and what their name could be?
Well, no offense to the Washington football team, former Washington football team, but I think we need like an actual name, right? Like Utah Hockey Club, cool, right? I think Yeti's really cool. There was a couple. Yeti is probably the top of my list, but there was a couple others I really liked, and I can't remember them off the top of my head.
Mammoth was a cool one that I thought, but there was some other ones that I did. Mammoth was a cool one. I didn't like Outlaws. That doesn't fit Utah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There was, when the team was first announced that it was going there, I saw like a graphic on Instagram with like 30 different ideas, and a lot of them were really cool. So I think you've got a lot of opportunity here, because there was a lot of creative ones, a lot of unique ones to kind of that area of the country. So I think there's a lot of good options, but personally, I think Yeti's my favorite. Also, can you just picture like a Yeti logo like that and a Yeti mascot? Like, that's going to put Gritty to shame if we get a freaking Yeti in there. So I think this could be, that one would probably be the coolest in my opinion.
I was literally thinking the same thing. Like, I cannot wait until the Yeti and Gritty meet and they have like this like beef that we all create on the internet. It's gonna be a fun time. Back to the local angle though, Alexis. Take me back to Game 4 of the PWHL for the Walter Cup in the finals. You're the Vox of the PWHL team, which, speaking of names, is there a name on the horizon for them, by the way?
There is. August is when the names and logos will be announced for all the teams. There's not a specific date in August they have set, as far as I know, but August is when that's all coming, so we can all put that to rest, because I know fans have been desperate to get names and logos for these teams, as have I. Yeah,
cannot wait, because it's just a mouthful saying PWHL women's team. Like, we need a logo. We need branding. We're the damn champs around here. But take us back, right? Take us back to Game 4. That goal goes in overtime. There's masks on the floor. There's sticks everywhere. Everybody's hugging and crying in the stands. And then the refs gather up and they say that the goal doesn't count. It gets overturned. They end up losing the game. We all know how it ends. It ends with a fairy tale ending. But what was calling that Game 4 overturned goal like for you?
Well, it was crazy because the X was packed, first of all, right? And we knew that we were probably going to have a really large crowd that night. And the number just kept going up and up and up. And finally it gets to game time. And we're like, okay, there's a lot of fans in the stands here. Like, this would be really, really cool if they could win it here, because this place is going to go absolutely nuts, right?
Right.
And there's something special about winning a championship at home, regardless of the sport or the gender or anything. It's just cool to win in front of your own fans. So I was kind of hoping that if they were going to win it, they were going to do it here and not in Boston, just because I wanted to see the fans enjoy that moment. I wanted to see the X go crazy. So we were all kind of anticipating, like, okay, today could be the day. And sure enough, the game goes on. We don't have a goal yet. It's 0-0. We're getting close to the end of the third period, and we're thinking, all right, like, we might be going to OT here. We get to OT, no goal yet. We go double OT. And at this point, right, as broadcasters, you're just ready for anything because you got to be ready to pivot the minute that goal goes in and talk about whatever happens. And I was on, for the finals, I was on the intermission panel for TSN. And so we're in the crowd basically watching the game, right? So we're kind of like riding the emotion of the fans. We're not up in the press box a step removed from it. We're like right in the middle of it. We're watching the fans biting their nails, getting nervous, holding on to their rally towels, all this stuff. And you can just kind of feel the moment building. The minute that goal goes in, I grab my phone and I start filming the crowd because they are losing their minds. And I'm getting chills. I'm like, this moment is so cool. Like, we're right here in the middle of it. I can't believe I'm witnessing this. Like, how awesome. What a special moment for Minnesota. And then I see the officials gathering by the scores box and the penalty box. And I turned to my broadcast partners and I said, I think they're looking at something here. And they were like, no way. And I was like, I know, this can't get overturned, can it? And at first we didn't know what they might have been looking at because the moment happened so fast. You're just like excited thinking someone just won the cup. And then our producer comes in our headset and they're looking at goaltender interference. We see it a few times and we're like, I think this is going to get overturned. And they looked at it for a really long time. And sure enough, they overturn it, and fans are livid. We got people yelling at us saying, that's a goal, that's a goal. Like, hey, we don't have a say in the matter here. So they overturn it, and you just kind of knew, right? We've all, Helvey, Max, everyone listening, we've watched enough sports to know Boston was going to score that next goal, right?
Yeah,
and sure enough, a few minutes later, Boston scores it. Fans are leaving upset, and it's going to 5 games in Boston. And it was one of the wildest rides I've been on as a broadcaster and as a fan of the sport in general. And then you just kind of hoped that Game 5 would provide that same kind of excitement, and it did. But it was unfortunate that even though Minnesota ended up winning it anyway, it would have been nice for them just to close it out at home and the fans get to enjoy that moment. It was special regardless, but man, that was a wild ride of a game.
I mean, you mentioned wild ride, Alexis, and the whole season felt like a wild ride. They started out so well, and then the break happened, and as so often in sports, you lose that momentum, and you have to kind of put it all back together. And they went through some dark moments. They just kind of squeaked into the playoffs, and then obviously fought their way to the top and to being the first ever PWHL champions. Did that regular season, did that adversity that they overcome, did that help them, claw their way back in that Game 5 after obviously it was a massive emotional letdown in Game 4?
Yeah, I mean, Minnesota all season long was one of the best teams in the league. I mean, they were battling for that first spot in the league for most of the season. At many parts of the season, they held that first seed in the league, and they looked like a great team. They were scoring, they were getting great goaltending, and so there was really not much to be too disappointed about. And then that international break happens, and we knew all season this was going to be a talking point of, okay, how are teams going to respond after the break? Is it going to benefit some of these teams, hurt some of these teams? What's going to happen, and who's going to be the winner coming out of this break? And Minnesota had multiple chances to clinch a playoff spot after the international break, and they didn't even get a single point. They lost all 5 games in regulation and some in heartbreaking fashion. And now you're thinking, okay, they might not even make the playoffs at this point. And in the final weekend of the season, by the skin of their teeth, they get some help from Ottawa, and they make it in, not of their own volition, but you'll take a playoff berth however you can get it, right? So they get in. Toronto picks them as their opponent, as the number 1 seed in the league. Gets 24 hours to pick their semifinals opponent between seeds 3 and 4.
I love that dynamic, by the way.
Between Minnesota and Boston, and Minnesota was who they picked. And then Minnesota goes down 2 games in that first series against Toronto. So they lose 7 straight between the end of the regular season and the start of the playoffs. And you're just thinking, what happened to this team? Where was the team that we saw for the first 3 quarters of the season? And I, quite honestly, once they went down 2, I thought they were getting swept. I didn't think there was a chance they were going to win a game, let alone win that series against Toronto. And then they get 1. And then I thought, okay, they got their 1, Toronto will win in 4. Well, then Minnesota wins Game 4. And now I'm thinking, well, as we all know, once you get to that Game 5 or Game 7, right, it's anybody's game. And Minnesota plays a really good Game 5 against Toronto. And it just felt like once they won that first game against Toronto, they remembered who they were and remembered that they're not this team they've been for the last month. They are the team we saw for most of the regular season. And they even lost that first game against Boston in the finals. And I thought they played well, but they lost that game, and then they come back with the chance to win, and it still ends up going 5 games. But I think their backs were against the wall against Toronto, and I think they realized, hey, this is not who we are. We have the talent, we have the goaltending, we have the coaching. We're capable of doing this, and they found a way to get it done. It was very impressive. At times, I still don't know how they did it, to be honest, because that's a tough spot to be in. But it was fun to watch that journey as they kind of refound themselves there in the postseason.
It sounds like there were so many opportunities for quote unquote Minnesota sports to seep in there, but they beat all of the Minnesota sports curses and they won. It's called the Walter Cup, right?
Correct.
Is there a keeper? One of my favorite parts of kind of diving into more of the NHL this season is learning more about it. And this whole keeper of the cup thing and how it's like a full-time job and he goes on like a world tour with it. Is there a keeper of the Walter Cup as well?
I'm not sure, and that's funny you ask because we even asked, during the draft, we just covered the draft here on Monday in downtown St. Paul, and we were interviewing Kelly Panic, who's a member of PWHL Minnesota, and we said, do you guys get a day with the cup like, they do in the NHL? And she goes, I haven't heard that we do, so I'm not really sure. So I don't know who's in charge of keeping an eye on the cup and if it gets passed around to players. I don't know who has that job, but that would be a pretty cool job. I mean, you get to hang out with some of the greatest trophies in sports. I mean, I don't think you can complain about going to work with a job like that.
Well, I volunteer myself as tribute. I will guard the Walter Cup with my life. That would be such a fun job. Alexis, you're so brilliant. We didn't even get a chance to talk Stanley Cup final. Can you hang out with us for another segment?
Sure, why not? I don't got nothing to do.
Alexis Pearson, the voice of the soon-to-be-named PWHL Championship, a hockey team. We'll talk to her more about the Stanley Cup final and the Florida Panthers finding themselves up 2-0 ahead of Game 3 tomorrow. Final hour of 9 to noon coming at you next.